I know it's cliche to say I feel like I won in the lottery when it comes to my two kids. I think every parent says that, or at least pretends it's true at some point of their parenting experience. I won the lottery with these two. They're the best things in the world. And I usually do feel that way. No, I do absolutely feel that way. I mean, there are some days that I would like to trade in my lottery ticket or take a break from my winnings. But I do feel like I struck it rich, especially because they're the only two people that have their diagnosis. I mean, that's hitting the lottery, and I know some people are like, I don't know if that's hitting the lottery in a good way. For me, it's been in the best way. I have two kids who have this unique diagnosis, unique to the two of them. But what that means is that my chances of winning something in the lottery seem pretty darn good because the chances of getting one kid with that diagnosis was one in however many people exist. And then I didn't just get one, I got two kids with that diagnosis. So it's kind of like the story of the person that wins the lottery twice when you think that's impossible, it's got to be rigged. I can promise you this. I did not jerry rig having two kids with their diagnosis. I have nothing to do. No, I have everything to do with that because I have it. I'm the carrier of those chromosomes. So when it comes to the lottery, I actually feel like I might have a chance to win. And in fact, I've bought a few tickets. I just forget to buy tickets. And I'm not going to lie, when I go to the convenience store, I get kind of nervous and stressed out because I never remember how it works. I never want to be that person that stands there for, I'll give every number I pick a complete and total evaluation and thought process, which is a little bit ridiculous. I know it sounds like the people who win actually pick the same numbers over and over again. And then, if and when I'm successful at buying the tickets, I forget to check them. I never remember when the drawing is or when to check them. So I kind of gave up on playing the lottery. Yet it never fails. I always think, God, it'd be really nice to win the lottery. In fact, with my feeling like I've won the lottery with both of my kids, I think that's obviously a very unique situation. I feel like the luckiest person. I feel like my life wouldn't be as amazing and awesome as it is if I didn't strike it rich. I didn't get these one of a kind little humans that I have and that I get to raise. I'm Nikki Lynn Chase, and this is my podcast, Adult Chicken, and it's about navigating life's unexpected. These are my stories. This is my journey about being a single mom to two special needs kids. The lottery is something, of course, I've always, ever since I imagine it existed. I don't know when the lottery started. I remember when I was a kid and you would get scratch off tickets. But I think, was the age? Has it always been 18? I don't even know. But I think it was my 18th birthday. I got a bunch of maybe 18 tickets. There was some clever person, and I don't remember who it was, that for however old we were on our birthdays, we'd get that many scratch offs. And I love the scratch off, except that black grayish crap that you have to scratch off. I always hated touching it, and I hated it getting under my fingernails. But that's not interesting. Anyway, I loved the idea. I loved the excitement. I loved that there was like a surprise. I mean, I'm of the era where we got prizes in cereal boxes and you dig through the cereal box for the prize. It was always something stupid or Cracker Jack boxes. But I loved the idea of the surprise. Even if you lost, it was always just fun. The problem was when lottery tickets, when people started winning gazillions of dollars, like the millions, the multi-millions. Of course, like everybody else in the world, I would fantasize about what I would do with the money. What would I buy? Who would I share it with? I have a little overthinking problem. And between the anxiety that buying a lottery ticket or tickets, plural, gives me. And oh my God, who am I going to share my winnings with? Obviously my kids, but who else? I mean, friends or the person that sold me the ticket. I don't want to forget anybody. I don't want to leave anybody out. And then I gotten to know somebody whose family, and I don't remember if it was her ex-husband or who it was in her family, had won the lottery, or his family had won the lottery. And it seemed to have, at least on her side, it seemed to kind of destroy the family. That concerned me. I overthought and have continued to overthink what would happen if I won instead of, we, I mean, really, your chances are pretty slim. So buy the tickets and you don't have to worry about that. That's a good problem to have, all those things, once you win the actual lottery. But with that said, it's not an investment I have made on a weekly basis. I don't buy them. And if and when I have, I forget to check them. So I just stop getting lottery tickets. And part of my saying that I've hit the lottery when it comes to my kids is the fact that they think everything's amazing. They are very easy to please. There are some things that I wouldn't consider being bonuses that have to do with their diagnosis. And there are things that navigating being teenagers. Teenagers are hard to impress. My teenagers, of course, they're going through teenage stuff that makes some days more difficult than others. Believe you me, some days I want to smash my face into a wall more than I want to deal with certain questions or deal with certain problems or behaviors. But for the most part, I've got these kids who have the happiest, most live in the moment kind of attitudes. And I know I've hit the lottery in that regard, no matter what. But for Christmas, I had wrapped up a box with a little note that said we were going to weekend getaway at Woodward, which is a skate camp in Tehachapi, California. Now, Tehachapi is a very interesting place, and we've been before. We've been to family skate camp. We've been to a weekend getaway. Now, it's very well known for having these incredible skate camps. But my kids, Will Sandler, the skater, is not going to be the guy that goes to a summer camp without mom. We just had to kind of creatively navigate how he'd get to go experience camp. And fortunately, they offer these weekend getaways where I can accompany him. I can even skate. So I wrapped it up and they were gifted the experience and they were so excited. And we went for the road trip. It's kind of the perfect amount of time. It takes us about 3 hours. That's about, it's kind of pushing it. A road trip with my two kids. Now that they're a little older, 3 hours is actually perfect. And they couldn't wait. What they were talking about was Tehachapi has a prison, has Woodward, the skate park, and we never have gone into the actual town, but where we go, there's a gas station, skate park, and then 2 places to eat. Essentially, that's it. That's all that's there. But they think it's amazing. They've seen deer there. They forget in their life in Colorado, they saw all kinds of wildlife. We had bears, we had deer, we had, you name it, fox. They were everywhere, but they don't remember that. So they think it's just amazing. They feel like we've gone to another state. They feel like we're a gazillion miles away from home. And it does have that feeling for sure. We get there and they're like, can we go to the gas station, Mommy? Can we please go to the gas station? And I said, absolutely, we can go to the gas station. And just the fact that that's the highlight, the first highlight of the trip is we're going to the gas station. And we go. And they walk out and I gave them each $10 because they wanted to load up on the snacks and the treats and the meals. And we're eating gas station food except for at night when we're going to eat at one of the 2 restaurants in the area. And then we go check in and run up to the lodge, which the lodge is more or less falling apart. My kids think they're at the Ritz-Carlton at this lodge. They are none the wiser. They think this place is amazing. Where anybody else, if you've stayed at even a semi-decent hotel, you're kind of looking at it like, might just catch something sitting on this comforter, but you're not sure. But the kids think that it's fabulous. They think there are a bazillion count sheets on the bed. They do not know. They're so excited about everything. And they pull out their comparing what they purchased at the convenience store or the gas station, and they both have bought water. The one thing I told them they had to buy was water. And out on the table, as they're comparing their loot, it was like two kids pouring out their Halloween candy. They've bought more shit than I've ever seen. And they both bought bottles of CBD water, which was amazing. And I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know they sold CBD water at gas stations, but my kids had CBD water. And I thought, well, maybe that'll do something for them. Maybe it'll make them kind of calm down and be sleepy. It did not. It didn't do anything. But then we went to skate. And I have to say, it was the best time ever. And then it was time to go back to the gas station to make some more purchases. Well, we get there for, I don't know, we were probably there for lunch. Lunch and snacks. Must have been the next day. And this guy goes up, he's in front of us, and he buys, I think, the Mega Million. And the conversation in the gas station is about the Mega Millions up to, it's over $1 billion. And I'm like, God, we should play as if we don't want to win in the millions, right? But she just said $1 billion. That would be awesome. And I said, you guys, let's play. Let's get some lottery tickets. And all of a sudden, it dawned on me that Bootsy is of the age to buy lottery tickets. She's 19 years old. She could get lottery tickets. That's awesome. We're going to have a whole new experience. Bootsy, let's go. I support gambling. Come on, kid. You get to buy lottery tickets. Well, all of a sudden the anxiety kicked in. There was a guy in the gas station, and it was this older gentleman, and he was buying the biggest bottle of Fireball. And I watched the lady at the gas station kind of roll her eyes at the guy with the Fireball at us, because I'm getting all excited and I'm kind of getting anxious about buying tickets. I wanted a Powerball. I wanted a Mega Million, which was in the billions. I wanted whatever the other, I think, super. I thought, okay, we'll get 3. So I said, we're going to get these, but I needed instructions. And the lady behind the counter she moved the guy who was buying the ginormous Fireball over to the other register. She's like, work your shit out. I mean, we had put a million things on I had my circus peanuts. I had all my crap out on the counter, and the kids were buying more CBD water because I told them it was weed water. They felt really naughty and like they were getting away with something buying this water, and we had so much stuff. And then I start I don't know what I'm doing, but we're going to buy lottery tickets. And she just kind of rolled her eyes like, Jesus, I'm going to go help the guy who just needs simply a bottle of Fireball. And then they started like making fun. And he goes, I'm going to need a straw. I'll more or less like telling her, I'll deal with this for you, this freaking yard sale of purchasers next door. It's like, I'll give me a straw and I'll suck down this Fireball and we can share it, before you have to help them. I was kind of offended, but whatever. And she came over to help us. And I said, look, she's never played. She's 19, but I think we have a chance at this. And if we win, I'm coming back here and we're sharing with you. Then she got a lot nicer. And then my kids were certain we were going to win. And so we went to dinner that night at one of the 2 restaurants, and Bootsy's alarm went off. And I said, why is your alarm going off? She goes, I set it for the time to check the tickets. And I'm like, see, this is why you are the one that should have the tickets and check it. Brilliant. So she had them meticulously placed in her wallet, and the lady had told us the times that we could check the tickets, and Bootsy had set her clock for both times, and she checked them, and we didn't win. And they're good at the scanning. I'm not good at scanning things. I get anxiety if I see that there's like one of the QR codes if instead of a menu. I think part of it is I can't see very well, but she scanned them and she's like, we didn't win. And my kids were genuinely disappointed, which was really funny. But it wasn't for whatever one was for $1 billion. The drawing for that was in a couple of days. But we didn't win the first 2. And the kids were kind of devastated. Like they couldn't quite believe that we didn't win. And so we started kind of talking about what we would do if we won the billions and billions of dollars. And I said, we're going to get that Sprinter van and we're going to just tour the country. I've been talking about getting us a Sprinter van for years. And every time we drive by one, they say, there's our van. And they know we have to wait till we get rich and then we're getting a Sprinter van. That is just the number one purchase when we get rich and we have somewhere to park it. We're getting a Sprinter van. It'll have the Adult Chicken logo on it. We're going to take this podcast on tour. And Bootsy started talking about a few gifts she was going to get one of her 10 crushes. And Sandler, he was talking about what he was going to get for all the girls that he's in love with. And that was kind of the end of it. We had a great weekend, best time ever. And we did lots of skateboarding. We did lots of gas station food eating. And then it was time to go home. And this is about a day after we get home, and the kids are sitting on the couch, and I'm listening. They have no idea I'm listening to their whole conversation. And I think it was the night that we were going to get to check. I think the drawing was that night. And they were sitting there discussing what they were going to do when they win. They were so certain we were going to win that $1 billion+ that was the prize. So I'm just acting busy. I didn't want to interrupt. I didn't want to ruin the moment. And Bootsy says, I'm going to ask my mommy, not our mommy. I'm going to ask my mommy when we win the money if, I don't know if she'll say yes or not because it's really expensive, if she'll take us to Chuck E. Cheese. That's what I want to do when we win the money. And Sandler, all of a sudden, like the light bulb went off in his head and he said, yeah. When we win the money, I'm going to ask my mommy, again, my mommy, not ours, if she'll drive me to Target so I can get a gift card to go to Dave & Buster's. And in my head, I had to sit down, first of all, to laugh to myself, but also to sit there and think, I've already won the lottery. Again, at the risk of sounding as cliche as I can. Did I not win the lottery? My 2 kids, 19 and 15, 19 and a half, 15 and a half, are sitting there discussing while everybody else's 19 and 15-year-olds, if you've got them, teenage kids, are running around doing the unthinkable, doing what we did as kids. Mine are sitting there discussing how when they win, confidence issues there. We're going to win this $1 billion. But the humble purchase of, and knowing you still have to ask mommy for a trip to Chuck E. Cheese with that $1 billion. I mean, we could buy a couple of Chuck E. Cheeses. And Sandler wants to ask for a ride to Target to buy a gift card for a trip to Dave & Buster's. And to me, it was like the most endearing, awesome thing. And I thought, if any 2 people should ever win the frickin' lottery, it's those 2. It's like when you hear the story of the guy that wins the lottery or the woman, whoever wins the lottery, and they've come from nothing. And they're like a good person and a good human. And I thought, if anybody is deserving of winning the lottery, it's them. They would give probably, if they were to win $1 billion, and I can't do the math. I don't know what you get after taxes or what you get as a take-home cash prize. But they would literally probably give the entire loot away. They'd buy that Sprinter van. I know they'd buy me a Sprinter van. But they would simply be happy with one trip to Chuck E. Cheese. And a trip to Target to get the gift card to go to Dave & Buster's. And then I would be asked, certainly, to drive them to Dave & Buster's in that Sprinter van. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And it made me so happy. So I think we're going to continue buying lottery tickets because I feel like it's the universe's sign to continue doing so. And we're just going to cross our fingers, toes, eyes, and nose that we are the next winners. Today's special edition, ironically enough, the same week the lottery discussion took place and lottery was on my mind, I happened to come across this movie, and it is called Leslie. And I watched it. Now, Full disclosure, because we didn't win the lottery, it was kind of one of the newer movies that's out, and it was cheaper to rent that than to rent some of the other ones that I actually wanted to see. I'd never actually heard of this movie. It just was closer to my price range since we didn't end up winning that $1 billion. But I rented this movie and I watched it. And I don't think I'm giving anything away. It's about a single mom who wins the lottery, and she's a train wreck. She's a complete and total train wreck. But the reason I watched it, it said something like it's bursting with emotion. I'm terrible at quoting any sign or any signage or any verbiage of anything or anybody for that matter. But however it was, when it gives like a quote or a review, whatever I read, I thought it's about the lottery. And that's the subject of this week's episode is about the lottery. I'm going to watch this. And I watched it, and it's one of those movies, you can tell it's really well done. It's probably going to be up for some of the awards. I'm not sure. I think the actors in it were good, but it's one of those I wasn't sure if I liked it or not. I think I also could relate a little bit too much to it, and it made me not super comfortable because I could relate, because the lady's a terrible alcoholic. The mom, the lady who wins. And I could see a lot of my mom in that movie, and it made me feel really gross and yucky, but she blows all the money. And again, I think that's in the trailer, so I hope I'm not giving anything away. But it was an interesting story, but it was kind of one of those movies where I thought, is this good? I mean, it's kind of interesting, but you kind of keep thinking something crazy awesome is going to happen, and it doesn't. But again, I think it's probably really well done. I'm not the most on top of it cinema person, so I never know what things are really good, for what reasons, or why things win awards. That's never made a whole lot of sense to me. I just know if I like a movie or not, basically. But this one was interesting because it was on the lottery subject, and that's the whole premise of the movie. She wins the lottery and blows it, and she's just a train wreck drunk who reminded me a lot of my mother. And then she hits this point of, essentially, she hits this point of homelessness. And again, I could relate to that a little bit too much because my mom might not have ended up completely homeless, but she ended up in a trailer in the Salton Sea, so it wasn't too far off from her life. And she didn't win the lottery, but she sold our childhood home for a lot more than this lady won in the lottery, and then everything just went to shit in a handbasket, and she blew through everything and ended up with nothing. And so I think it hit a little bit too close to home. But all I kept thinking was, we're going to keep buying lottery tickets because you know what? That's the kind of person who probably shouldn't win. And I don't know if it's a true story or not. It's probably happened to a number of people who've won the lottery, I would guess. But I thought if my kids won the lottery, it literally wouldn't change them. It would not change anything about them. It would not change their design. It wouldn't change who they are. They genuinely wouldn't know any different. They just would know it wouldn't be such a struggle to go to Chuck E. Cheese, and I wouldn't constantly deny them of trips to Dave and Buster's because we could actually afford to buy the game cards. And I probably would send Bootsy to the self-checkout less times when we run out of money to put coins in because she doesn't get embarrassed having to put things back, or if she doesn't have enough money to pay for groceries. Please tune in next week for an episode all about first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby and the baby carriage. Please like, follow, share, and make sure you subscribe. You can find me on YouTube at Adult Chicken as well as adultchicken.com. Get the .com in there, or you're going to get a bunch of pictures of adult chickens or information about adult chickens. You can also find me on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, also at Adult Chicken. Please subscribe, and if you feel so inclined to write a review, I would love that as long as it's a good one. And you can follow me on Instagram at adult_chicken or Nikki Lynn Chase.